A day full of fun to celebrate the end of school becomes one of unimaginable tragedy.
I can now sadly confirm that 4 children have died.
At Hillcrest Primary School in Devonport, the grade 6 children were on the jumping castle when a gust of wind turned it into a deadly weapon. 2 girls and 2 boys were killed, 5 other children were injured, 4 critically.
It's difficult for me to find the right words in such tragic circumstances.
Those who went to help left reeling, the devastation etched across their faces. The school was shut down and parents told to come and collect their children. Police and forensic detectives scaling the grounds, searching for clues as investigations continue into how this tragedy occurred.
For the 5 children who remain in hospital, our thoughts and prayers are with them and their families and their friends.
The horror felt right across the island state and the nation.
Unthinkably heartbreaking, and young children on a fun day out together with their families, and it turns to such horrific tragedy. At this time of year, it just breaks your heart.
It's still not...
Just offering some commentary too, so that Channel 9, the station I'm showing a story from at the moment, don't strike me. Hi, Ruth. Hi, everyone coming in. I should have warned everyone at the start. This does have some pretty confronting information, so just giving you that little disclaimer at the start about this story. But for those of you not familiar with Australian politicians, the bald guy that was speaking before giving out his thoughts and prayers, you know how I feel about that, but that's our Premier here in Tasmania, that's Peter Gutman. And then the guy that was just speaking then is Prime Minister Scott Morrison. But he's off the screen, Francesca, you can chill out. All right, I'm going to keep playing this little news story. There's another minute to go.
Not clear how the jumping castle became airborne, but police say there are a number of witnesses they hope to speak to. Flowers and tributes to the 4 children and their families are piling up at the school's gates in what's being described as the biggest tragedy in Devonport's history.
There are no words that I can give that will take away the grief that those impacted families are feeling right now.
On a day when these children were meant to be celebrating their last day of primary school, instead we're all mourning their loss.
Nine's Rachel Baxter is in Devonport.
We'll cut that there. We don't need to have the rest of that story. So, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's horrible for the first responders. The photos of the police sitting on the school grounds in front of the play equipment crying it really gets you. And also how many kids were there who witnessed it, the teachers at the school. There's an article we'll run through in a minute, but even parents, when they got the text messages who raced to the school, they didn't even know if it was their children who were involved. When the story first broke today, it just said there'd been an accident with a bouncy castle at a school event that had flown through the air. The next thing they mentioned, it was updated to 1 child having died, then it was 2. And I went to the gym for an hour, and when I came out of the gym, it had been upgraded to 4. These are grade 6 and grade 5, like they're 10 and 11-year-old kids. It's just horrible. And with all the stuff that's going on YouTube at the moment, you know, there are people around the world that are living real-life horrors right now that are way more real and relevant than all the YouTube infighting. I can't even imagine anyone that was there, all the kids who witnessed it, obviously the kids who lost their lives, like what a horrible way to die. They fell 10 metres. 10 metres. This bouncy castle flew through the air, and they also had those blow-up balls that you get inside and roll around. They got lifted as well. What a scary way to die. And yeah, there's all of these families of everyone, the first responders. I mean, they've flown helicopters up there from Hobart to transfer children to the hospitals in Hobart. There's 4 children currently fighting for their lives and another one's in a serious condition. It's awful. And I mean, I had a bit of a look. There have been other bouncy castle tragedies around the world, but this is the worst one. And even that news story just then saying, you know, it's the biggest tragedy that's ever happened in Devonport. Devonport's a beautiful coastal town up in the northwest of Tasmania where everyone just leads happy, chilled out lives. It's just horrific. Oh, meters to feet. Yeah, it's pretty, because I think it's a 4.5 feet to every meter or something like that. Or is it 3 3/4? I can't remember. I'm confusing it with miles and kilometres. Morgan might pop it into the chat. Spare me the Googling. But I do want to follow this story because something went terribly wrong and horribly wrong. And they're in the articles, they speak to the Bureau of Meteorology about the winds and 32 feet. 32 feet. It's just the worst. Yeah, but the Bureau of Meteorology said that the strongest wind today in that area was 22 kilometres an hour, which, you know, if you imagine driving a car at 22 k's and sticking your hand out the window, it's not windy. It's not. Oh, no. Have you heard another one has died, Emily? Oh, this is just horrific. I mean, when the story broke, I was thinking, oh, my God, I hope there weren't kids in it. What a scary thing to happen. And then they just started listing the deaths, and it was like, wow. I've been updating the news that I've been following on the ABC News website. 5. Sorry, I hadn't refreshed my page. It's now 5 children have died because of this, and there's still 3 more fighting for their lives. I'm just going to update my title. I don't like doing this, but this story is just getting worse and worse. An average ceiling is 9 feet. So, yeah, multiply that by 3. Much love, Emily. They've already had a candlelight vigil or service at a local church today. This is just the worst. I mean, if you fall 30 feet, 10 metres, and survive it, you're going to be dealing with some pretty horrific injuries. The story just gets worse and worse. But one of the reasons I wanted to go live about it is just to put things in perspective. With so much that goes on YouTube, people really need to get a grip. Your life can change in a second. This was the last day of school, primary school, for these kids. They were heading off to senior school next year. It was a special event to celebrate the end of year and the start of summer holidays. It's a week before Christmas. And there's now shattered families, friends of the families, the first responders, the kids who witnessed this, the teachers at the school. You were hoping I'd go live. I think it's sometimes when things like this happen, it is good to go live just so everyone can kind of hang out and process it together. Hi, Sarita. Yeah, poor babies. And they were babies, 10 and 11 years old. I'm just going to share the ABC News story. We'll have a little read through because it provides a bit more information. But yeah, 4 minutes ago they updated the story, and unfortunately, and Emily, thank you for coming in. And it was, as soon as I saw your message, I was like, oh no. Hi, AJ. Yeah. Well, I think the whole country is in shock, to be honest. That I mean, this sort of stuff just doesn't happen. I mean, well, there have been some other bouncy castle tragedies. There was one in China, one in the UK, but 5 kids weren't killed. Not that it's, the victim Olympics or anything, but this is just unbelievably sad. Thank you for sending out your love and prayers to everyone at Hillcrest, to the first responders. It just, let's process it together, because I'm a little bit like, whoa. And the fact that another death has been announced since we went live is just 5 children. It's just fucked up. There are no words. I was crying because my daughter's last day of kinder, then I heard this. I feel bad because at least she came home to me. Rest in peace, new angels in the sky. That's a beautiful message, Emily. And yeah, isn't it weird? There's that sort of survivor's guilt. There's a lot of interviews that you can watch on YouTube of people who survived horrific events where people were killed, and I don't think you ever recover from that. I think you live with that guilt, even though you shouldn't. But I'm sad to read that news too, Ruth. Let me put this ABC article up. I mean, this little island that Emily and I live on, I think the biggest thing, apart from living on this unbelievably beautiful island and the fresh air and fresh water and amazing food, is the sense of community that still exists here that so many places around the world have lost. Oh, that might be the UK one I was talking about, Ruth. I thought you were saying somebody recently, but she got trapped, yes. I'm not sure if this article looks at that, but I did look at an article earlier that went through some other bouncy castle tragedies. I mean, look, I personally, as a kid, I didn't like them. I remember getting bounced into a corner, and then other people sort of got bounced into the corner as well, and we all sort of got piled up on top of each other, and that sort of feeling of being under a heap of people, and they're all squealing and wriggling around, and I didn't like it. I've never liked them. But most kids absolutely love them. They lose their shit. And there's a lot of adults that have bouncy castles at adult parties because they still dig them, I'm just going over to the article. Okay, so, yeah, sadly, another death has been announced. 5 children. And there's still 3 more fighting for their lives. Please put out positive vibes. They all somehow pull through. I mean, I just don't know how. Falling from 30 feet in the air. If you do survive it, you're going to be living with all sorts of injuries. There's 4 children in the hospital. 3 of them are fighting for their lives, and 1 is in a serious. So there's 3 in critical, and 1 in a serious condition. Now, I did warn you that there are photos that might be distressing, and this story is obviously very distressing. But just letting you know that, please be discerning and decide if you want to stay here or not. That one I'll actually scroll through quickly because that's what they put up a heap of tarps, blue tarps, around the bouncy castle. Sort of ended up in a tree. If there's another photo that I'm more comfortable sharing with you to sort of show you where it ended up, but they put those tarpaulins up for a reason. There were obviously victims on the floor, on the ground. So yeah, we've still sadly got 3 in critical condition in addition to the 5 children that have died a week before Christmas, their last day of primary school. But this is the thing too that I do want to keep following this story and find out what happened, because witnesses have said there was this gust of wind that picked up the jumping castle and threw it into the air, and the Weather Bureau is saying that there weren't any winds in the area that would have reached speeds of more than 22 kilometres an hour. So was it this freak gust of wind, or was the castle not properly secured? I mean, they had those big inflatable balls that you get in and roll around on the grass. You get inside them and they roll with you inside them. They all got lifted into the air too. So you would think that this theory, or the witness statements about there being this massive gust of wind, would be accurate. But well, AJ, I thought it'd be good for us all to just try and process this together, because it's unthinkable and it's unfathomable. Like, it's hard to process, but at least if we all just talk about it together, it's just unbelievably sad. I'm sorry I'm not finding a lot of words right now, which is why we'll look at the article. Yeah, the anchors, I'm wondering about them too. I think if there's any sort of negligence or anything like that, I'm just going to I'm not going to go crazy with moderators on this channel, but I'm just giving Ruth one as well, a little wrench. I don't think we're going to get anyone coming in, but it'd be good just to have a couple of people in case we do. This channel I don't heavily moderate, so in fact I don't moderate. I don't have moderators at all, I don't think, but now we've got two. So yeah, they're year 5 and year 6 students, which is 10 and 11 years old. They fell from a height of about 10 metres or 30 feet. This jumping castle got blown 30 feet into the air, 10 metres, and the kids were falling out of it. It just and the horror of all of these witnesses saying it, but now needing to give statements, just I don't know. I'm kind of reacting to this the way I react to. I can't stand stories of those people in trucks and cars that drive through crowds, because there's always so many kids that witness it, and it is a nightmare scenario. There's no. Thank you. You're finding the words I'm trying to find. Thank you. So yes, it blew this bouncy castle into the air at Hillcrest Primary School in Devonport, which is up in the northwest of the island. Unfortunately, this article has been updated to announce there's now a confirmed 5th death. A 5th child has died. And then there's still 4 children in the hospital. 3 of them are in a critical condition and 1 is in a serious condition. They've only just confirmed the 5th death. That video I showed at the start with the policeman, that's our Police Commissioner, Darren Hine. He's absolutely wonderful. He's an amazing human being. And he said these children were meant to be celebrating their last day of primary school. Instead, we're all mourning their loss. Emergency services were called to the scene around 10 a.m. this morning after a wind gust had reportedly caused the jumping castle, the inflatable Zorb balls, to lift into the air. This part of the article hasn't been updated, but the 4 confirmed children who died, it's 2 boys and 2 girls, but sadly there's now another child who's passed away. I do love the responsible reporting of this particular news site. It's ABC Australia that they have on the right. You can see all of the different helplines there. They are numbers in Australia, so obviously if you're outside of Australia you can't call them, but I love that list of numbers is their crisis numbers for people to call. Your hubby worked at Hillcrest, AJ. Okay. He's been speaking about it tonight and said the oval at the bottom of the hill is in a precarious place, he could understand a freak wind gust. Let me just bring up Google Maps. I'll finish reading the article, but then we'll go to Google Maps and we'll have a look at. I think there is a photo of the site from like Google Maps coming up in this article, or there was in one that I looked at earlier, but we'll put one up on the screen in a minute so we can all see where it is. And okay. For some reason I was picturing it being more on the coast. I know exactly where it is. Okay, we'll have a look at that in a minute. You're pulling up Google Earth. Great minds think alike. You still own 2 houses in Devonport. Your family's still there. Many of your friends are teachers at Hillcrest or have children attending. Oh, AJ, this is so close to home for you. It's really sad. The last story I did on this channel that was Tasmanian was another Devonport story, the double shooting or the triple the murder-suicide, two victims, and one of them survived. And then he took his own life. But Devonport's had a really tough year. Our hearts are breaking for the families and the loved ones, schoolmates and teachers of these young people who were taken too soon. Our thoughts are also with those emergency services personnel who attended to try and save these people's lives. This photo, cops and all of our emergency responders are trained for crisis, how to deal with it. But that really hit home. It's just such a graphic, awful event, and there's no amount of training that could prepare you for stuff like this. And, all of these people involved, losing the families that lost their children, all the kids that were there, the teachers, the friends of everyone who knows people at Hillcrest Primary, including you, AJ, and your husband, all of your friends, all the emergency responders. Right before Christmas. But there really are no words. You've been grieving all day. I'm so glad that you found me live so you could come here. And I never know how many people I'm going to get on this channel because it's such a little channel. I'm so glad you found us, AJ. Much love to you. And, the shooting was awful. Prayers for Devonport and all of Australia. I agree. There's always lots of love on my channels. I think that's one of the reasons I wanted to go live. I was chatting to a friend about it earlier and we were both just crying and not coping at all. And I said, I'm going to put my jammies on and make some dinner. And then I was like, no, I'm actually going to go live. I just want to talk to some people. But AJ, I'm so sorry to hear you've got people that you know and love who are going to be processing this. It's horrific enough looking from the outside, but to actually be connected to people that will be just absolutely heartbroken, I'm so sorry. We are a good crew. We're a great crew. We come together for giggles when we need a laugh, but we also come together for a big group hug as well. Okay, here's a bit about the anchors, if Morgan's still around. Police have not confirmed what was used to anchor down the jumping castle and have not released the ages of the children involved, but just knowing they're year 5 and year 6, they're 10 and 11 years old. The coroner was at the scene very quickly, and there's a police investigation underway as to how this occurred. Pardon me. My throat is just... Do you get really, when you're sad or anxious or whatever, your throat just closes up? I reckon I'm going to die choking on an M&M or something. I don't know why I threw that in. Maybe a little bit of my gallows humour gets me through these kind of events. So the investigation will take quite some time, but guys, I will do an update of this story. I know that I still need to do an update on Astro World. A fair bit's been happening with that, but nothing to warrant me turning on the go live button just yet. Sadly, there are a number of people and witnesses there that need to be interviewed, so it will take some time, quite some time, and will be guided by the coroner. This is why I love Commissioner Darren Hine. He really is a fantastic police commissioner because his empathy and humanity is always the forefront. Whenever something happens and he speaks, it's just like, it's so reassuring to have a police commissioner who has factored in. Like, he's being interviewed on the spot. It's not like he's had a chance to prepare an official statement, but this man speaks from the heart, and he's acknowledging how sad it is that they're going to have to interview people who witnessed it. And, you know, factoring in that, giving them time to process it themselves and not force the investigation. Like, you know, let people speak when they're ready. Like, we're just so lucky. We've got this really fabulous police commissioner who just is always thinking about everybody else, and his empathy is just right at the forefront of everything that he does and says. You can't underestimate that when you hear about crooked cops the world over and dodgy, you know, police forces and at play, but we've got a really great guy at the helm. Thank you so much, Tori. Just messaging them all on Facebook now. Our friend is the Hillcrest chaplain. So there was an article, I'm not sure if I'm going to show it or not, but it was saying they've already had a little candlelight service at the church. I can't imagine what they're going through either. Trying to organise a GoFundMe. Hey, let me know if when that's organised. I'd be more than happy to go live and share it. And my email address is hopefully in fact, I'll just punch it in here. Please let me know. I mean, I'll keep an eye out for it as well. You're probably going to be spending time looking after all of your friends affected directly by this event, AJ, but that's my email address, and I will keep an eye out for it too, because I'm more than happy to go live and share that for sure. How horrible to think there are going to be funerals of tiny children. I just can't. This is going to impact people for the rest of their lives. This is one of those events that they'll get a lot of help and support. They've already taken a lot of counsellors, trauma counsellors, grief counsellors up from Hobart. They're already up there, which is incredible. Like, the island pulls together so tightly when things like this happen, and it's so reassuring to know that, you know, that they get on with getting the right people to the scene as quickly as possible. Hi, Deb. Big hug for you, beautiful. Deb's another Tasmanian, everybody. It's the saddest news, isn't it, Deb? It's just how quickly lives can change, you know, which is why all of this infighting and drama and bullshit that happens on YouTube, which gives me the blues from time to time, like it did this morning, to just wake up and see they're all still fighting. Stop it. Your lives could change in an instant. Imagine being anyone who witnesses today, the parents of the children, the siblings of the children who lost their lives, 5 children who lost their lives in the most horrific way. They fell 30 feet, 10 metres to their deaths on the last day of primary school for some of them. Stop all this fighting online, people. It's not worth it. please do let me know, AJ, because I'd be more than happy to donate. More than happy. No parent should bury their child, and leading into Christmas, these little kids. We're feeling them, Morgan. This is still Commissioner Hine. Our focus now is supporting those who are tragically affected by what's happened here today. And then, the helicopter ambulances came in and transported these poor kids there's still 3 fighting for their lives, 1 in a serious condition, and then, of course, 5 have lost their lives today on this beautiful sunny day in Tasmania, on a day that just should have been fun and happy. Oh. Tim Bullard, Secretary of the Tasmanian Education Department, said his immediate priority was to support the children, families and staff who were impacted by the incident. We're coordinating a range of services as a critical response to support students, families and staff, and our approach is being guided by our senior psychologists who are trained in trauma-informed practice. We have a team of professional support staff on site to immediately provide support to students and staff, and this includes our psychologists, social workers and chaplains. So AJ, your friend, who has to process all of this, the Hillcrest chaplain, will be one of many people reaching out to help everyone affected by this. The staff will also be on site tomorrow with ongoing support being provided through the weekend and going into the holidays. What has occurred today is a tragedy, and there are no words that I can give that would take away the grief that those impacted families are feeling right now. I'm not going to read I had another article lined up, but I don't think we need to even look at another one. There's a little bit of information about this wind event, and AJ's husband said that he could picture that happening because of where the oval is and it's precarious. There's more information in there about counselling. Families and first responders are receiving counselling. On the right in that little box, that's a message that was posted by Hillcrest Primary School on their Facebook page. There has been an accident on site at our school. We're closing the school for the rest of the day. We ask that parents come to collect their children as a matter of urgency. And there's stories, parents were rushing towards the school without knowing whether their kids were involved or not. I don't think the school had any idea when they sent that message out just how bad things were going to get. Multiple ambulances were sent to the school, several helicopters as well to transport the injured to various hospitals. Witnesses said it was a very confronting scene with police and parents rushing towards the school. Police have been seen crying and embracing at the scene, and many parents arrived at the school not knowing if their child had been affected. I mean, you don't see stuff like this. This is just a sunny Tasmanian day. This looks like a shot out of I hate to say it, but like a shot that you see with what happens at the schools in America. Devonport just doesn't have things. I mean, that news story is correct. It's the biggest tragedy to happen in Devonport. This is not a typical scene anywhere in Tasmania at a school. Blue types were erected near the tree where the jumping castle came to a rest close to the school oval. People are being asked to avoid the area. The school was running an end-of-year Big Day In celebration instead of a usual school picnic. The Big Day In thing started last year because of COVID. they used to have a picnic and now they have this thing called the Big Day In. Okay, I'm just going to get back up into chat. Sorry, I was on the other page. Other children who saw this tragedy, yeah. Yep. All of it. Ugh. So much help will be needed. So much help is already on the ground up there, which is amazing. I held Locke close a lot today. He had his end of school trip yesterday. It makes me shudder. Yeah. Ugh. I think a lot of Tasmanians, a lot of Australians are hugging their kids extra tight today. And how sad for the families who've got to plan funerals to bury their babies. Much love to all of you. Be nice to each other. You never know what others may be dealing with. Thank you, Blue. Just going out for a smoko. More tears. Hold your loved ones tight and tell them you love them every day. Yep. And you know what? Extend that to people you encounter in your travels on YouTube. Tell you love them. We all have people on YouTube we met. I mean, you guys, I've met most of you on YouTube. You know, and I do always say love you groovers when I sign off because I do. You guys are really important to me. Wouldn't it be refreshing to see chats where all these people are feuding, just somebody in the chat just telling people in the chat that they love them? Let's start doing that, guys, in 2022. Let's love bomb YouTube channels. If you follow a channel and things are a bit snarky in there, don't hang around and listen to it for hours on end because it will mess with your head. But imagine if we all just pop into channels and we see someone we know in chat, someone we've chatted with before, just tell them you love them. Let's make that a mission for the Traces of Nuts community and the Smooth Criminal podcast community. Let's love bomb the crap out of YouTube chat next year. Start tomorrow. Start tonight. Do it whenever you're on next. Because we are all connected because of this platform, and we've all bonded with each other, and we do have a beautiful, supportive community, and we all tell each other we love each other to bits. So let's start spreading the love out there. You can see all these grumpy creators are like, why are people telling each other they love each other in the chat? Well, because it's what we're going to do. We're going to love bomb YouTube. Amazing first responders. Yep. Yeah, Sandy Hook. Stories of school kids are so heartbreaking. You want them to have the innocent childhood that every parent wants for their kids. But yeah, losing them. And the ones that have survived this, how do you recover? Hi, beautiful Serenity Bee. It is heartbreaking. They do have a long road to travel. Bit of love being thrown up by Lee. Oh, thank you, Morgan. Well, you guys are great. I do love you all to bits. I love the community we've got. I love that we look out for each other. Let's take our love out on the YouTube streets and love bomb everyone. Exactly. Kids should be able to be innocent for as long as possible. Oh, love from Blue. Love from Sarita. Love you guys. Love from Morgan. See, look at us. We're all rehearsing. Francesca, I love you and your cynicism. Love you all. I can only say that on this channel. I love you, Francesca. I do. Love you, good people. We love you, Lady. That's rare to be able to say. True. Love to all. Well, I'm going to be love bombing the crap out of YouTube, the YouTube streets. I swear, I'm going to start deliberately going, instead of getting affected by these angry channels and letting it impact me like it did this morning. And I mean, it wasn't breaking me, but I was just like, this is just getting so disappointing that people are feuding about Christmas lists. Like, let's just put all that crap away, get over it, and just try to be positive. 'Tis the season to be jolly. And then a story like this breaks, and it's just a further reminder of how pointless all this online fighting is. Look at all the love from Ruth. She's outloved all of you. She's used way more emojis. That means way more love. And they're in a beautiful rainbow arrangement too. I'm making it a lovey-dovey place, because what I'm going to do from now on, I'm going to deliberately, if there's a channel that's live and they're having a snark, I'm going to go into the chat. I'm going to wait for somebody to say something who I know, and I'm just going to tell them I love them and throw up a shitload of love hearts. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Ruth wins. Much love, Serenity B. Right back at you, girl. More photos of cops just so visibly affected by this. How could you not be? And then this neighbour, this dude, Bob Smith, not his real name. No, it probably is his real name. This neighbour saw it as well. He was heading inside his house and saw the jumping castle go up. He returned 2 or 3 minutes later to discover the tragic scene. And then the police and ambulance were there pretty quickly, so he knew it was pretty bad. My wife heard a bang. It was pretty traumatic. Mr. Smith said the community surrounding the primary school is close-knit. We're a bit shaken. You don't expect anything like that. The poor parents, I don't know what they're going to do. Our Premier, Peter Gutwin, gave a press conference and said, my thoughts are obviously with the people involved, but obviously the parents of the children that have been injured and with the emergency services. There's the bouncy castle. That's how it sort of ended up, hanging on the branch of that tree. Like it went up like a balloon, 30 feet into the sky, into the air, with children inside it. Our Prime Minister, unthinkably heartbreaking. I mean, he's a twerp, but he's right, it is unthinkably heartbreaking. Young children on a fun day out together with their families, and it turns to such horrific tragedy at this time of the year. It just breaks your heart. He's cancelled his trip to Tasmania, so look, there's a silver lining. Those poor little kids, how absolutely terrifying. I'm just going to see, I'm not going to look at the other bouncy castle stories, but I just want to find the other article that I had. See if it had anything else. Tasmania police initially said a wind event caused the jumping castle to lift into the air. On behalf of all Australians, to the parents and families and friends, all who were there, to the other young children there and witnessing these events, I just pray you'll have great family around you and great friends, and you can come through this horrific tragedy. And again, that other article. But yeah, so we'll keep an eye on it and find out, hopefully, what, it sounds weird saying find out, hopefully, what happened. The picture I've got up of Google Earth doesn't really show much. Like, it's really just where the school is located. I'm not going to put that up. I'm just going to see if there's been any further updates. So, I mean, the first 4 children who passed away, 2 boys and 2 girls, they haven't given out any more information yet about the 5th victim. Okay, so I'm just looking at another article that is sort of breaking down what we do know so far, and it says that at 10 a.m. at the Sports Oval, a gust of wind picked up a jumping castle and several Zorb balls, inflatable balls that people stand inside, and hurled them into the air. The jumping castle rose about 10 metres and pulled kids with it, according to eyewitness reports. Children fell from the jumping castle, with some people landing on the oval and others off the hilly slope at the edge of the oval. 5 children have died, all in grade 5 and 6, on their final school day of the year, and 4 other children are still in hospital, 3 in critical condition and 1 in serious condition. They don't know how many children in total were on the jumping castle or using the Zorb balls at the time. How did the jumping castle lift off? We don't know yet. Police called it a wind event and a gust, but the nearest Weather Bureau monitoring site, about 10 kilometres away at Devonport Airport, did not record anything out of the ordinary. Police have also not confirmed what was used to anchor down the jumping castle. Anna Forrest from the Bureau of Meteorology said the strongest gust recorded at the airport at the time of the incident was 22 kilometres an hour. But from what AJ was saying in chat earlier, what her husband had said, knowing, I mean, he worked at the school, he could imagine a gust of wind happening in that area. So that sort of information from, what the wind speed was at the airport is probably not that relevant, really. Okay, here's the aerial shot of the school. Hang on. Let me just share a different screen. And I'll read chat too. Okay. Just getting the right article up for you guys. Okay. There's so much love in chat, guys. Gosh, you're gorgeous people. Your Samsung tablet won't let you use emojis, or just love heart ones, Francesca? It must have been incredibly powerful, Morgan. Melbourne had a wind gust that knocked over a wall and killed people. I felt the gust, very strong and sudden. I remember that one with the wall collapse. That was awful. There were 2 people that were killed. Were they brother and sister? They were young, like they were uni students, weren't they? It doesn't need to be that strong, just the right direction and speed. Look at all the love bombing. Oh, AJ, I hope someone's love bombed AJ back. Yes, lots of love bombing back for AJ, and rightly so. Beautiful. Francesca, you're getting all emotional and soft in this live. Look, love from Sarita, Morgan, Lee, Ruth, Serenity B. Thank you for clarifying that too. Yeah, so grade 6, we don't have middle school here. We have primary school and senior school. And grade 6 is the final year of primary school. And then you start grade 7, which in America is probably around the time you're in junior high, or you might be in grade 8. Lovely to see you, Serenity B. Thank you for popping in. So, yeah, but grade 6 are 11-year-olds. Grade 5, 10-year-olds. I know, celebrating their graduation from primary school to high, it's just awful. So this is an aerial shot of the school, and I don't know if you guys can see my cursor or not. I can't go to StreamYard to see if you can see the cursor. I think you can. But this area down here, this vast space here, that's a school oval. You can see in the middle if you've got a sharp eye. I can zoom right in. So that's a cricket pitch on the oval. Now, we could see in photos that a lot of the castle sort of ended up, it got shredded too. There were bits of it all over the place, but there were trees, so it's hard to say which tree. I don't know, AJ may be able to give us a bit more info about it. But the oval is where quite a few of the children landed. And then there's reference to a steep slope. Now, it could be down here, but I think it's actually up here because this little area in here to me looks like a playground. Although that may be where the police, I think the police were sitting here on this patch of grass up here on the hill because there was play equipment in the background of the photo. So I reckon this is the area where those two female police officers were sitting. So whether it happened on the other slope, that to me looks like it could be a bit of a slope going down there, or whether it was up around here. Like, I don't know, maybe, I imagine it would have been, my gut instinct is it was set up on the oval with lots of other things. You can see photos, and this is the slope down here. I've got a feeling it would have ended up down in here. And I think over here on this slope, that's where the female police officers were sitting, that photo of them crying. But I think there were a lot of little, you can see in one of the other photos. I'll just zoom out. So you can see here, I reckon the oval's up here, but you can see the tops of, there were little sort of tents and other little marquee things set up on the oval. And I reckon the bouncy castle was up there and it got lifted up by the gust and brought over and landed down here. That's my feeling. Just check with hubby, that oval's built into the bank, a cutout bank, so possibly a wind trap could well be. But do you think, looking at that photo there, you can see the top of what looks like an orange marquee, and there was another photo I saw that had see, there's the two police officers and there's playground equipment, so I think they're over on the other side of the oval, and there's school buildings in the background. That yellow there's a school building. But the other article I was showing, I think, let me have a look. I mean, there's the one with the tarp up, but it's been blurred out because there are children lying on the grass. I don't really want to show that unless you guys feel okay to see that. But I'll see if I can find the other photo where you can see. It might be another article. There's a photo where you can see quite a few different little marquees and tents and things set up. Maybe it's the article that I'm not sharing. No. It was the New Daily. Oh, that's the article I'm looking at. Maybe it was Channel 9. Hang on. I'll just stop this video from playing again. It's the one I played at the start.
A day full of fun to celebrate the...
Okay. All right, I'm going to share this article. It's got some slightly different angles and stuff. The bank is deeper than it looks from these pictures. No, please. No, okay, I'm not going to show you that one. The photo that's on the screen at the moment doesn't have the blurring out or anything, but I'm actually going to share a different article now. Okay, so this is Channel 9, which is one of our commercial TV stations. It's on Reuters, so it's gone global. Oh, well, it would. I mean, so unfortunately they've updated it to mention the 5th child that's died. It's just awful. So these photos are kind of, this is actually the video I played at the start. Those tarps are still up, but the area is now being cleared. But if you have a look at beyond the tree, there are the roofs of buildings, and you can also see different coloured canvas bits and pieces. That's the oval up there. I'm pretty confident that that's the oval. Down here, this tree, the bouncy castle would have been up here on the oval, and when it got lifted, it ended up landing down around this tree. And there's bits of it there, blue bits of it, and there's still bits of it hanging in the tree. You can see quite a lot of navy blue canvas. And this is the school fence. This is the perimeter of the school down the bottom. So, yeah, it's a very steep slope. And when it got lifted, kids fell out of it on the oval and also down here on this slope. I feel like I'm Grey Hughesing it a bit. I thought it would go global. I mean, it's a pretty horrific story. Poor Tassie, we're on the map again for all the wrong reasons. But there's a few more different photos. So this is from the oval. So you know when I was saying you could see other bits of coloured canvas. So this thing here, this blue marquee, that probably had something going on in there. This is all up on the oval, looking down on the slope to where the tarps were put up. And there's a lot of bush behind it, a bit of a gully. That's out the front of the school. But again, this is down from the slope. So see that there's that green roof I pointed out in a previous photo that was in the distance, and there's all those sort of marquees and things that they've taken down. They've pulled them all down. And here's the slope, and again, there's that tree. So the castle would have been up here somewhere, up on the oval, and it got lifted up and carried, and a lot of it landed in the tree. Oh my God. Oh. Oh no, this is just so sad. Flowers have been tied to the fence of the school where the tragedy occurred. That's a photo of the school from the street, but the oval and everything, that's all on the other side of these buildings from that aerial shot that we were looking at before. Here's a photo. This is the lighting of the candles. They had a vigil at Devonport Church. They haven't updated the caption because sadly we know that 5 kids have now passed away, but this is at the church in Devonport. Earlier today they had a little candle lighting vigil for the victims. There's a map of Devonport and where Hillcrest Primary School is. I mean, that's not that different to what I was looking at on Google Maps, to be honest. I'm going to leave it on that photo. Let me just go back up. Where were we? Yeah, the bank is deeper than it looks. Well, it's nice to have you back, Morgan. I'm great using it really well. Thank you. One of the advantages of being a lawyer is we analyse photos a lot. It's a skill. It's not really. I think everyone can do it when you just use some logic. But I know that fence, it is heartbreaking, but I feel like I have to leave it up there. Went up fast and down. Well, actually, let me go back to the school aerial photo. It sounds like it did. I mean, it sounds like it shot up into the air, 30 feet, 10 metres into the air, and then travelled a little bit in the air before crashing down. Okay, so the aerial photo, I'll get my face off the screen. I can do this. You can have a little story down the bottom. So actually the entry to the school, is the side. Whoops. So you've got these are very typical in Australia, these little sort of turn-ins, and you drop the kids off at the gate. So when we saw that photo at the front of the school, you can kind of picture the building. So the oval is actually to the left. And then here we've got, again, that little playground that I think the two female police officers were sitting on, that little slope there. Here's the oval, which is where the jumping castle and all the other little marquees and everything were. But, the jumping castle might have been right in the middle of the oval. It could have been on the edge. We really don't know. And then the slope here, which is the one that AJ's husband says it's even steeper than it looks. And you've got some trees here. So somewhere here, possibly this tree here, is where it ended up. And it managed to get 30 feet, 10 metres into the air. And kids were falling out of it onto the oval. So they were falling out, and then it got carried and came crashing down, possibly on this tree. I'm only saying that because in all the photos, it sort of almost looks like a tree all on its own. I mean, I don't know how old this photo is, but that to me looks like the logical thing. So, yeah, I mean, it may have flown half the length of the oval. I don't know. I guess with witness statements, we'll start to hear more of all of it. But, yeah, it would have been absolutely friggin' terrifying. I'm so sorry, Deb. But look, if you are, I think this is a really good way to process it. Together, it's not going to necessarily make us feel better when I end this live shortly, but at least we've been able to kind of hang out together, and I think everyone will probably have a bit of a cry, for this for quite a while. I think this is a story that's going to bring people to tears a lot. There will be a lot of PTSD for sure. Yeah, this one's a nightmare. Morgan dropped a pin in Google Earth on the street. It definitely looks much steeper in 3D. I don't know why I wasn't... Oh, because I was on Google Maps. Sorry, I'll go to Google Earth. Thanks, Morgan. I should have got you up on panel because you can share stuff when you're on panel with people. Google Earth always takes a long time to load. It's got a lot of information. You wouldn't imagine anything like this happening. And even if you did imagine it, you wouldn't imagine it taking the lives of 5 children, would you? There are just some things that happen that are just unfathomable. Okay. Okay. Let me share. Together we are stronger, AJ. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this live wasn't going to make anybody feel better about the story, but sometimes it's good just to be with some other people while you process it. So Tasmania is upside down. I don't know how to swing it around. Anyway, we'll zoom in. To Devonport. So Tasmania is upside down. How do I turn it around? Oh, no, I didn't mean to block. Come back. I didn't mean to block my location. How do I spin it around? Here we go. Okay, so this is Tassie. There's mainland Australia up above. Now let's... All right, Australia. And then here is Tasmania, the little island where AJ used to live and where Deb and I live, and Emily, who was in here before. I live down... Oh. Okay. I'm zooming in and out with my hands, so it's a bit sensitive. So I live down here. See here? There's the beach we were on today. There's beautiful Carlton Park Beach. So that's where we were today. That's the beach. So that's where I live on the island. And then when we zoom out again and flip it around, Devonport is up here in the northwest. Sorry, I probably zoomed in way too quickly for you then. I'm sorry. And here we have the primary school. So we are kind of looking at it from a slightly different angle at the moment, but you can see, I'm just checking, I've got this on the screen. Yep. Better together. Pretend there's a heart. I'm feeling the love, Francesca. So there's the little turn in for the school, and the parents drive in here, or this from this direction probably, I'm not sure, and they drop the kids off here. This is the gate and the entrance into the school. And then we've got all the school buildings. There's a basketball court over here, but this on the right is the oval again with the cricket pitch, and now we've got the slope down on the right. Now what I'm going to do is try to... Okay, you're definitely getting a better idea of how steep it is, I think, from that previous aerial shot. I don't know if zooming in is going to help, but you can see there's a very deep slope. And I reckon it is possible that's all sort of landfill and it's been built that way. I don't know if that's natural. Like, there might have been a bit of a slope and they've kind of tried to fill it in to make it safer for kids, maybe. This is spinning all by itself. It's repositioning, I think, to... Or are we just doing a really fancy grey hues right now? But you can see how steep that slope is. And plus, this whole oval area is very exposed. It's sort of elevated. You've got that slope going down to where there's some trees, and then there's sort of a flat, essentially. And not a lot of windbreaks. You know, there's only a few trees that are actually around the perimeter of the oval. and it's elevated. It's much higher than the rooftops of the houses on the other side. You feeling me? Devonport Uniting Church open from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight to pray, think, share and light a candle and think of the families, friends, staff and emergency service workers. Also tomorrow from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. Thank you, AJ, for letting me know that. I will be calling some of my friends who are in Devonport tomorrow just to check in on them and see how they're doing as well. Morgan, have I done a good job with Google Earth? But I think you guys can get a bit of an idea. There's a definite, obvious steep slope. It doesn't really do it any justice if I zoom in. I think it's more obvious leaving it like where it is now. But look how high up the oval is. I mean, you've got all these residential streets and everything over here. AJ, is your husband still floating around? Because the school looks like, it's called Hillcrest, so it's clearly on the crest of a hill. That's obviously where it got its name from. But would I be correct in surmising that it is being on the top of a hill or the crest of a hill? It's higher. To me, it looks like it's higher than all those rooftops. There's not that many trees around it. There's not a lot of windbreaks. And depending on where that gust came from, if it was over the height of those roofs and it sort of came in this way or this way, picked it up and boom. It's kind of an exposed oval. And do keep us posted about GoFundMes and so on. I will keep an eye out as well because I'll be more than happy to put a little live up about it if people would like to donate. There's 5 families that are probably just in absolute shock and broken right now, but in the next day or so they're going to need to organise funerals, and all heading into Christmas. Can you think of anything more horrific? Grace has got an awesome apprentice. The little guy, thank you. Sorry, I was looking at the little guy before. Select a no, I don't. Which street view do I want? Huh? What happened to the little dude? Down here, maybe? Like, here we go. Here we go. Oh. That was kind of Grey Hughes-ish, but I don't know if it... I still think, like AJ's husband saying, it looks... Was that what you were doing, Morgan, or have I messed it up? Apparently it was a freak gust. The nearby Devonport airport was recording winds of like 22 k's blew. He said, I'm doing a great job. I did click on the blue line. Click the white arrows to move up the street. You can turn around. Maybe no, I want to learn how to be Grey Hughes Jr. Let's try this again. This is the first time I've ever done this live, so I will master this as time goes on. Oh, here we go. Yeah, you do. I'm hoping you guys can get a bit of an idea. It is steep. These are big trees, and there's, they're going right up. You definitely, thank you, Morgan. Now we're heading. It'd be great. So this is the entryway into the school? No, this must be another street. Because the entryway is further round. That must be another turning. Maybe that's another drop-off point. That, to me, gives a pretty good concept. You can see there, behind that tree, there's a fairly steep bank happening up there, right? Try spinning around. I think I'm on the right side. Hang on. I'll take the little dude out. Oh, so we did. We moved along. We were at the turning lane into the school before. You can see the slope in the background. There's the sign for the primary school coming up. But you can already see in the distance the slope. Like, it's pretty apparent that it's an elevated oval. And there's bits of the slope, you know, through the trees. Thank you, Morgan. You've taught me how to grey hues. So, I mean, I think that one through that bit of tree there, you really get an idea of how steep some of that is. Look at it. So that's the oval up there. Tree, possibly, or that one. Oh, it's so scary. Those poor little kids. I'll stop sharing now. There, have I passed my... Oh, what's happened to my hair? I've got the post-gym hairdo happening. Yeah, so me, unfortunately, when I went live, 4 had been confirmed, but another one had been confirmed not long after we went live officially, although we did have someone in chat who's a Tasmanian as well, who let us know that they were about to confirm a 5th death, unfortunately. Ah, okay, interesting, AJ. Her husband's take is the Bass Highway goes through kind of the middle of Hillcrest and Primary School and Reese Senior High School. He believes the highway could act as a kind of wind tunnel. And then you've got that oval that's sort of up and elevated and on the crest of a hill. Interesting point, Deb. Why the tent stood up and the jumping... Well, I guess it'll all come out. I mean, how it was anchored, it was possibly facing, like, lined up perfectly with the wind, and so with the wind, because, I mean, jumping castles have got the little entryways. If the wind went straight in, boom, up she goes, maybe. Whereas the other marquees, they might have been a bit protected because they were on the edge of the oval or they weren't directly facing where the gust was. It's nice to have you here, so mate. It is so terrible. So terrible. Thank you, Morgan. Morgan's has taught me how to be Grey Hughes Jr. But that's possibly why the marquees... I mean, that gust might have been very narrow and, you know, like a little tornado kind of thing, just zoom in, rather than imagining like a massive wind covering a whole oval. It's possible there was literally a little path that it took and that bouncy castle was just right in its path. It's just crazy. And there's still 3 children fighting for their lives in hospital. Please send out positive vibes that they managed to recover from this. They've probably got all kinds of horrific injuries that they've got to battle, but there's no other updates. So it's a terribly sad day for Tasmania, for Devonport, and for the country. We Australians are very big. We've got a thing that runs through our veins, mateship. It's a very big part of Australian culture, is looking out for your mates, and we all feel for other states when things are happening there. I was reading earlier that there's a bit of a COVID outbreak happening in South Australia at the moment. I'm like, no, my heart goes out to them. Our borders have just opened. We've got tourists flooding in. People are wearing masks again. But to sort of see South Australia suddenly getting hit, I was like, oh no, this is awful. Devonport has been known to have some whirlies, come out of nowhere and leave as quick, because it is close to the ocean. Devonport, it is a coastal town, and we've got Bass Strait between Tasmania and mainland Australia, and Bass Strait is a crazy body of water. I might do a show one day about some of the mysteries of Bass Strait and boats disappearing and planes and all sorts of things. But I think, the best that we can really do is to put out positive vibes that the kids that are fighting for their lives in hospital at the moment managed to survive the night. God only knows what they've got ahead of them. To the families and the friends of the 5 children who lost their lives today on their last day of primary school, celebrating graduation, starting high school next year. It's a very big time in your life when you're 11 years old and you're finishing primary school and you're off to big school the next year. And these are little teeny weeny kids who have just been through the most horrific experience imaginable, to be in a bouncy castle 1 minute and then 30 feet up in the air and kids falling out, and all the other kids that witnessed it, the school staff, the first responders, the neighbours, the parents that were rushing to the school not knowing if their kids were involved or not. And imagine being a parent rocking up and being told the awful news that your child has died on their last day of primary school. There's a Facebook page called Devonport, Where Is This Happening?, who are sharing the most recent updates. Yeah, absolutely. Let me get that up. Then I'm going to wrap this up because I'm actually working tomorrow. I've got my work Christmas lunch. Oh, I'll just show you this. My sister-in-law, who lives in Singapore, but Tasmanian, married a Tasmanian and is an Australian citizen now too. But look at this picture that Nikki's just put up on her Facebook. This actually sums it up. It's perfect for how everyone's feeling right about now. Perfect in the worst possible way. I mean, that really says it all, there are no words. AJ, I will look at that Facebook group, and I won't be able to do an update on this story tomorrow because we've got our work Christmas function and I'm working in the morning. But I will do an update on Saturday, and if there are GoFundMe details and things like that, then I'll put them all up on Saturday, because I think that photo, that picture that my sister-in-law's put up really does sum it up. This heart-shaped island is broken at the moment. Very broken. And Devonport will be absolutely rattled right now. So blow lots of kisses Devonport's way. I'll say good night to everyone. Thank you to all the wonderful Traces of Nuts and Smooth Criminal podcast family for your thoughts, care, love and prayers for the Devonport community. Take care and God bless you all, grievers. Thanks, AJ. Thank you so much for dropping in. Taking your time out to come and chat in here when you've probably got so many friends that you want to contact and look out for and check in on. I really appreciate it, because it was so good to get your information and via your husband as well to try and work out, well, not that we can work it out, but just to find some sort of explanation for how this could have happened. I really appreciate it, gorgeous. And I will join that Facebook group too for all of the updates. But I think we'll leave on the broken-hearted Tasmania picture, which is just making me cry. So, yeah, once again, too, before I send out my love to everyone in Tassie and in particular Devonport, I just want to say to everyone on YouTube, the people that are so invested in going live for hours and hours at a time, ripping people to shreds online, just stop it. This could be you. This could be your family. Your lives could change in a second in the most tragic of ways. Find it in your heart to put down your arms, put down your weapons, and just do some positive stuff on YouTube. We all need it. We all come here to escape, to talk about things, world events that are tragic, and to give each other support and lift each other through it, but also to have some laughs when laughs are appropriate. There's nothing good is going to come out of all this fighting. Your lives could change in a second. So the time you've got is precious. Stop wasting it on fighting with people on YouTube. And for the hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people who tune into those channels and watch them for hours on end every day, for your own mental health, stop it. Your life could change in an instant too. You're wasting precious time watching shit on YouTube, people fighting, channels fighting, creators ripping each other to shreds. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Are you going to be that person, something awful happens to you and you realise you missed it because you're sitting there watching people screaming at each other on YouTube? Or, I passed up having a coffee with a friend because I wanted to watch so-and-so's live on YouTube. They were fighting about someone on YouTube, and then that person passes away. Have a think about it. Have a think about how you use your time. Life's precious. Make the most of it. 5 children lost their lives today on their last day of primary school. A graduation, a celebration. They were being kids. They hopped into a little inflatable jumping castle and moments later literally plummeted to their deaths 30 feet, and their lives are over. I'd much rather offer my platform to people to come and hang out and process stuff like this. And we do have laughs when it's appropriate, but I do think the time I use on YouTube is valued and precious, and I don't waste it. And if just one person watches this live and thinks, my God, you're right, what am I doing? But people that keep tuning into that stuff, stop it. You're fueling it. You're giving them a reason to keep doing it. And it's pointless. Your lives could all change in a second. So much love to Devonport. Much love to the parents and siblings of the children who died today. Fly free, little angels. You didn't deserve to have your lives cut short in such a scary way. The kids that are fighting for their lives in hospital, let's put out positive vibes. They make it through the night. For everyone who witnessed it, the teachers at the school, the other kids, the other parents, the parents that raced to the school not knowing if their kids were involved or not, the first responders that have seen in tears sitting like trained first responders and emergency services personnel have been broken by this. There's no person that's heard this story that hasn't felt just absolutely horrified that this could have even happened. I can't imagine. It's hard enough just talking about it, but people are living it right now. But this island is really tough. We're a tough island. We're strong people. We live in pretty harsh conditions, but we've also got a love for each other, a lot of love for each other. We've got such a strong sense of community and the way we rally and get through things. And it is an Australian thing. It's not unique to Tassie, but I think being on a little island and being picked on by the mainland so much, I think we're a little bit closer even, and we're small. There's only just over 500,000 people on this island. We will get through it together. I will keep updating this story. I do want to find out how this happened. Not that it's going to make it a better story, but there's certainly some unanswered questions. But there's a lot of families, a lot of people that are heading into Christmas that are not going to be having the Christmases they were probably busily planning for today before this horrible, horrible event occurred. So much love to everyone. Please do, when you're on YouTube, if you feel like dropping into chats and love bombing someone in there that you do care about who you've met on YouTube, go for it. Nice channels are never going to be the big channels on YouTube, but if we can start spreading some love out there, let's do it, guys. So that's a really nice way to sum up. We circle our wagons very well and quickly. Yep. We pull together. It's a very Aussie thing. It's a mateship thing. Your mate falls over, you're right there picking them up, and there's 10 strangers are helping to pick them up as well. One of the best things about being an Australian is growing up with that sense of mateship, even from strangers. It's pretty special. It's pretty confronting when you go to other parts of the world and it just doesn't exist at all because it's so deeply embedded in our psyche. But yeah, thank you everyone for hanging out. I hope that just having this little opportunity to catch up and watch me learn how to do a Grey Hughes under the very wise instructions from Morgan. It's a terribly sad story, but I hope everyone feels just by hanging out together and processing this together. It's, like I said, I feel sick. This story is just making me feel so sick. Just take care, everyone. Hug someone you love. Call someone you love. Just love bomb. Casper, you are a bit late. You're just in time to see me end it. Just do some love bombing. Lots of it. In your real life and also out on the YouTubes. And to the little 5 kids who died today on probably the most exciting day of their lives so far, finishing primary school and heading off to a big senior school next year, who lost their lives today. Whether you're religious or not, I hope those little kids are flying free, and if there is an afterlife, they deserve to be in the best part of it. Take care, everyone. I do love you guys so much. I mean it. And we'll all catch up again very soon.